Good evening, everyone, with Get Noticed with Video, and this is our Stream Like a Boss TV show. So we go live each and every week on Thursday at this same time to share with you strategies and tips to help you to leverage more on-camera content so you can stand out online, serve more people, and sell more of your stuff, more of your services. So I am excited to be here this evening to talk a little bit about the traits of a successful video marketer. I have three in particular, but depending on your questions and your comments, we may add to that. I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to come on in, so I'll play my short intro video and I will be right back so we can talk a little bit about the success traits of a video marketer, especially for those of you who are thinking about going live. What would be traits that would help you to really be successful? What traits could you adopt in your life, in your personality, in your approach to doing video that can help you to be successful? Hey, Miss OG. I'll be right back. I'm going to give everybody a second to come on in, but I definitely want to say hello. And we'll talk about what we were talking about just a few minutes ago before we went live. All right. Miss J and Miss Michelle, I always love to see my folks from the Stream Like a Boss community. Again, let me come right back and I'll welcome you officially and say hello. All right. Hey everybody, again, it's Tanya Smith here. I want to say hello and welcome. I am super thrilled, as always, to be here with you live. So please feel free to leave me a chat. You can see that Jay and Michelle have left chats. Here's the thing, the reason why they have hashtag OG, in case you're brand new to this space, whether you're watching on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you're watching from. If you're new to the space and this is your first time ever hearing or seeing our video, go ahead and type in hashtag newbie in the comments. If you've been here before and you're part of my crew, my community, my circle, my heart, put hashtag OG because I definitely want to respect and acknowledge each one of you no matter where you fall in watching these videos. I have been going live now for, it's been, I think, almost maybe 2 years at this point, pretty consistently, almost each and every week. And part of that was because I challenged myself to do so. So now I get to challenge you to really embrace online video, on camera video, where you have yourself on camera and you're talking to people and you're engaging and interacting and creating and building community, right? And conversation, because people are craving that from a human standpoint. They want to know that you're not just a brand that's trying to sell to them, but that you're a real live person. So I just want to thank you so much for showing up. Miss OG, Marcia in the house, Javaka, Michelle, everybody is coming on in. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Here's what I'm going to do. I will say this before we get started into our three traits of a successful live video marketer. If you're inside of my community, my Facebook group, again, special shout out to you for my Stream Like a Boss community. If you're there and I can't see your name and profile picture, it may be because you haven't given Restream permission. So make sure you look at the short note that's at the very top of the description for the video so that I can see who you are and acknowledge you. Eric Watson, you are an OG. You don't get to be a newbie. Look, so Eric and I go way back because he and my husband were besties when I first met my husband, and that was back in 1993. Eric, that's crazy. So you're not a newbie to me. You're an OG to me. All right, let's see. I have a couple of things I wanted to do here, but I'm juggling a little bit. I've been up since like 2:30 this morning. I had my first interview early this morning with Marusha Murphy for her coffee chat. And I had a couple of other things I needed to do. I had to meet with a client who's overseas really early. So I'm a little tired, but I'm going to keep my energy up to make sure that I give you what you need. Yes, E and my husband, Preston, they were roomies. So that is crazy. That's crazy. I love that you're here. All right. And yeah, what? I know, right? Yeah. This is my life right now, being up at all times of night and morning. So here's Stream Like a Boss. This is what I was looking for and just losing it. If you're not a part of our Facebook group, this is our community, our circle, our people where we spend a lot of time. So, Stream Like a Boss over on Facebook is where I spend a good amount of time hanging out with folks who are trying to learn how to use and leverage on camera content. So, definitely, if you're interested, show up and show out, right? On camera. Yeah, there's Miss Tara as well. Good to see you, ma'am. All right, let's dive in. I want to talk a little bit about why this particular topic matters, okay? Because I always have to explain, I got to express to you why I came up with these topics. It's one of the things that I absolutely feel is a part of my particular curriculum, as if you will, for video, is to make sure that I share with you the reason behind, the purpose behind the content that I'm delivering. So, I came up with this idea of the traits of a successful video marketer, and especially live video marketers, where I really want to focus because what I understand, here's something I've been hearing a lot lately. I've been hearing a lot in some of the many interviews that I've been doing from the audience members and from people who are in different classes. They will say, you have to be born a video marketer, right? Like I'm just not, this is not me. It's not something I can do. I wasn't naturally gifted at this. Well, guess what? I wasn't naturally gifted at it either. So I actually pulled out my dictionary because it's been a long time since I've studied biology, right? But I pulled out my dictionary and I also talked to my daughter, who is a genius when it comes to anything science, my youngest. And so I asked her, I was like, so remind me again about traits. Are traits something that you're born with, or can you adapt and actually take on certain characteristics? And so she helped me to recognize that or to remember, to recall that there's two different types of traits. So the one we're going to talk about is defined as this: it's a distinguishing quality or characteristic. That's where we're going to start from. Okay. Why does it matter if you have a specific distinguishing quality or characteristic? And why is it one that can be adapted, right, to your approach and to your style? I'm sharing this because I never want you to think that just because things may look a little more smooth today on video, on camera, that I started out this way, or that any of us who you see right now doing regular and consistent live streaming started out that way. We all start at a place that probably does not look as pretty. It's probably a lot uglier. If you look at a lot of my older videos, you'll see that for sure. So here's what I want to do. If any of you have ever started somewhere, so like 5 years ago, you were at a place, and now 5 years later, today, you're in a much better place and you've improved. If you have improved over 5 years, I want you to just type in a fire emoji. If that applies to you and you've seen growth in yourself, no matter what it may be, maybe it's not video, maybe it's a different skill, but if you've seen some type of improvement, I want you to type in a fire emoji. If that resonates with you, that over time, the more you do something, the better you've gotten at it, the more improved your skill has been or become, type in a fire emoji. Good evening, Virginia. I see you there. So I want you to type in a fire emoji if that applies to you, because I believe that there are ways that you can improve on different qualities or characteristics that you have. And so I'm going to highlight and emphasize three. Thank you for those fire emojis. Yes, because we all have been in a place where we started somewhere. You know, that song Started from the Bottom, right? We all have started at a place, and then later, the more we've done that activity, the more we've built on that skill. You can't find the fire. I know you got me though, right? The more you've built on that skill, the better you've become, right? So the more you do video, and this is what I really want to stress to you, the more you do video, the more you can adopt these particular characteristics and traits that we're going to talk about. Okay. So let's do that. I'm going to thank you for those fire emojis. We never see our improvements. I know. Look, that's the thing. If you look back, take a minute to just look back in time. And it can be any type of skill, something that you really know you do much better now. But I want you to think back 5 years. I'm so glad you found it. Look back 5 years and think about how different things were for you. I remember my first Toastmasters, and it was probably one of my last Toastmasters because I hated it. I know some people that love the organization and love the approach that Toastmasters takes. For me, it just didn't work. It wasn't my happy place, but I didn't give up on speaking. I just made a decision that I was going to keep doing it, even with the ums and the ahs, right? And I did. I paid attention to other speakers. I paid attention to other presenters. Yes, Natalie, fire. Because we all have skills, qualities, characteristics that we can improve on. And it does work if we continue to try, we make the effort to build on it. So I love that. Yeah. And I've gotten better at speaking and I've gotten better at being on camera because I do more of it now. I didn't just give up and stop and say, well, I really suck at that, so I'm not going to do it. Right? Let's talk about the three that I want to focus on for video marketers. Okay. So the first one, analytical. Now, I do not mean that you have to be analytical in terms of being like an accountant. That's not what I mean, because I'm not that person. I am not a math person, even. I've gotten to be a math person because I like keeping track of my money. But when I say analytical, what I mean is that if you are in any type of content marketing, including video, you want to be thinking about what is working and what is not working. You want to be looking at, okay, I'm going to try and test these things over here. And the things that are working well, I'm going to do more of that and I'm going to tweak it and improve it. And then for those things that are not working, when I see that my video numbers are going down and people are not engaging or no one's showing up, I'm going to do less of those things. So when you are a content marketer, when you are a video marketer, and especially as a live video marketer, there are a number of places that you can check for insights. And especially if you're using like Facebook Live, there are ways that you can go and you can look through your Facebook insights. If you're doing this from your business page, let me say that. Okay. If you're doing this from your business page, that's the best possible way for you really to measure. But you want to adopt the habit of measuring so that you can be more successful. So you want to, over time, over a period of time, look at where am I today on the first of the month, and then where am I 30 days from now, right? Stephen in the house. And yes, your old YouTube collection of video shows improvement over time. I think I can do much better now. You know what? I've seen some of your videos and I think you're very natural. You very easygoing about the way that you talk to people in the audience, right? And I love that. Hopping on a flight, just had your moment. Thank you, Stephen. Mwah, mwah, mwah. My brother over there on in LinkedIn space. Wonderful to see you. You're doing so many amazing things. All right, safe travels to you. So look, the analytical video marketer is one who is going to look at the things that work and continue doing more of that. And they're going to look at the things that are not working and do less of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to adopt the habit of being more analytical in analyzing how we are doing now in this moment against another period of time, right? In order for you to do that, there's a number of different ways you can go about doing this. It could be notepad and pen. You could take notes and say, okay, here's where I am today on October 1st. And then in 14 days, if you've been doing consistent videos, maybe every other day, or maybe, a couple of times a week, or maybe it's once a week like I tend to do with live streaming. But in 14 days, I want you to go that same notepad and pen and look at where were my numbers on the 1st. So now it's the 14th or the 15th. Where are they now as compared to what they were on the 1st, right? Because you're going to find that you will find you're going to find that you will understand and be able to evaluate the things that are working and the things that are not working. Yes, it's going to help you to get better and to improve in every kind of space. I promise you. Love doing them, just not sure how I can think on the spot. Okay, we may need to explore that a little bit, Michelle. But the key is find a way to measure whatever works for you. Now, some people use Excel or Google Sheets or whatever it may be that works for you. I use tools like there's a tool called Metricool. It was just one of those lifetime deals that I did. Yeah, I think everyone should do this. If you don't, you don't know. You can't say I'm successful if you've never really paid attention. Maybe you can if all of a sudden you pop up and you got 10,000 followers and 10 days ago you had none. That's an easy measure, right? But I really want you to look at the things that matter. How many times are people staying and watching your video all the way through? How many times are people coming and watching the replay? How many times are people coming back and returning to watch because they watched last week? Are they watching this week? Are they watching the week after? Because retention is also a metric that I know Facebook loves. I suspect that YouTube may appreciate that too. I'm starting to get more into YouTube, so we'll see. But there are things that you can look at to determine how well you're doing, and you need to do that. So being analytical is a trait that successful video marketers adopt. So I want to challenge you to find ways to measure your own success and to see where you are today. You could start like tomorrow. Do a video tomorrow. Write down how many people showed up. Make a note of how long people stayed on. Make a note of how many people took you up on your call to action, right? If you have a CTA, which you should, we've done videos about that. How many people actually clicked and went to the space that you directed them to? All right. Now, the second one, I'm going to go ahead and pull up. So the first one is analytical. The second trait of successful live video marketers is this one: good communicators and storytellers. I'll tell you, it took me a minute to really figure out what this meant. Like, what do you mean when you say be a storyteller? Because everybody's saying tell stories, be a storyteller, right? Everybody's saying that. And yes, Jeanette, that's true. Grant makers and founders, she says, are requesting our analytics for our reports. Yes. So when you're trying to promote yourself as an up level or upscale brand, or you're trying to get funding for certain things in your business, being able to show the metrics and to show the analytics is going to help support what you're saying, right? All right. So communicator and storyteller. I used to wonder what that meant. And what I would do, and this is just me, so I'm going to tell on myself. I don't know if this applies to you. If it applies to you, when I say this, I want you to give me a hand raise in the comments. But for me, I was like, let me just get this information out. When I first started doing video, when I first started teaching courses, and I've been training for a very long time. So I used to be in a corporate field of learning and development, and I was doing instructional design. And in a corporate space, it was kind of like, okay, get to the point, especially back in the day. I won't age myself. Some of you know how old I am, but back in the day, it was like, get to the point, just get on the stage or the platform or wherever you are and start spouting out what you're going to talk about, right? Irene knows what I'm talking about. She's got a raised hand. So I didn't get it. I didn't understand that this has changed. And when I came into the online and the digital marketing space, I kind of carried some of the bad habits with me. I am not just a baby, Michelle. Yes, raising hands. Look, you get it. Storytelling is not about just getting up on camera and spouting out a bunch of numbers and statistics and data, as we call it, and just saying what it is you want to say and then moving on and closing things out. Storytelling helps you to be able to share with people and communicate with so what you're doing is you're connecting your brand with the audience that's watching you, by sharing something that has happened, whether it's happened to you, maybe it's happened to a client, maybe it's happened to a business colleague, but something that has happened, a story where they can really relate to what you mean. So again, when you just say, hey, this is what you should do as a marketer, you should adopt these traits. That's not going to be as easy for you to take in and say, okay, that relates to me, I get it. But when I tell you about the fact that I started out trying to do Toastmasters and I sucked at it, and then I share that I ended up having to learn how to communicate by just continuing to do it over and over and over again until I got better, right? That's a miniature story. That's me sharing something that is on a human level, potentially relating to you, because many of you know what Toastmasters is and you've been in it yourself, and either you loved it or you hated it. So, storytelling and communicating in such a way where people not only do they get what you're saying, but they can like feel it here because it's something that resonates with them on a deeper level, on a personal level, right? So learning, see, Irene loved Toastmasters, right? But that triggers for you when you use words, when you use stories from your own life, and they don't have to be lengthy stories, but they can be, it's something that you're sharing with other people, with your audience to let them know that you are a real human being, right? It's something that look, several people are putting in the comments so they can relate to what I'm saying, even though I was not good at it and hated it. Many of you love it. But either way, whether you loved or you hated it, you knew what I was talking about, that it instantly resonated and connected with you. That's what I'm talking about. So think about, as a video marketer, how can you create miniature stories or even longer stories? Sometimes your whole video might just be the story, right? But there's purpose behind the story. There's some reason that you're trying to help people to relate to the message that you're sharing. So what I've noticed when I watch videos and when I stick around and stay for them, I'm staying because I'm interested in the story. I'm interested in how they're relating to me and how they're relaying to me a message in a way that feels real to me. It feels like it's not just something that they pulled out of I don't know, out of a book, or that they're reciting, but it feels like it's something that they truly know. When you can tell stories and when you can communicate in a way that's really connecting with your brand on a heart level, especially in an emotional level, it's going to instantly build your credibility. It's going to showcase you as truly the expert that you say you are, because you're being real and you're sharing from what you know, not just something that you read or heard about. You're sharing, even if it's not your own testimony, you're sharing a case study about a client that you worked with, or you're sharing, if you don't have clients yet, you're sharing a case study about somebody else's client that was able to get success using the principles or the steps that you teach, right? So storytelling is really, in fact, one of the things I'll say, and this is going to bleed over into our last and final, the third tip or the third trait. If any of you listened to or watched our guest interview series recently, I did a Stream Like a Boss guest interview series. I have the whole playlist on my YouTube and on Facebook right now. When you heard each one of those individuals speak, when they talked about video marketing, they were telling their own personal stories. They were talking about how they got to the place where they are now. Some of them had some real hard knock stories. Some of them came straight out of college or out of their whatever their educational background was, and it may have been in media, right? And they stepped right into video because they loved it already. But there were differences. All of them were different, right? And that's the good thing and the strong and the most important thing about branding yourself when it comes to video or anything else is when you tell your story, when you speak from your own filters, it's always going to be uniquely different. You're never going to have the same exact story as someone else because each and every one of us has lived a different life. I'm living my life, you're living your life, you're living your life, right? So, all of us, each of us has an opportunity to tell our story and to share our message in a unique way. It's not about competing, it's about sharing what you know from your perspective based on what you've been through. So, really, really hear my heart on this. When you get on video and you start delivering your message through video, always be authentically yourself and speak from what you know. Speak from your experiences. Some Jill Scott there. Speak from your personal experiences. Speak from what you've heard other people say, but always make sure that you're offering your perspective because your perspective matters. All right, the third and final is resilience. Again, with the guest interview series we recently did. Oh, that's one of my favorite songs too, Michelle. Living My Life Like It's Golden. Yes. When you get knocked down as a video marketer, it's going to happen. Okay. And let me give you a couple of examples of how it's going to happen. You can knock yourself down. And usually that's going to be the first place where you get knocked down. It's not going to be anybody else. It's going to be you telling you that you can't do this. It's going to be you saying, I can't stand my voice. I hate how I sound. I hate that I look that way. Oh my God, there's a pimple on my nose. I've done some live streams with a pimple right there, right? I've done some live streams with my hair all over the place and with a baseball cap on. I've done some without makeup. I've done some with makeup. But most of the time, you're going to knock yourself down first because you're critiquing and you're judging. Yes, Jeanette, you did say that. You're going to be critiquing yourself. So that's one obstacle you need to overcome is you. You are also going to be knocked down potentially, and it may not be right away, but there are going to be people who are judging you. If you're worried about being judged, if you're worrying about somebody trolling, if you're worried about any of that, if you make the choice to get on camera and to do live streaming, you are opening up the possibilities for people who don't know anything about you to say things and to do things that make you feel poorly about yourself or about what you shared. So, look, I knew later on, but when I first got the dislikes on my YouTube channel, I used to get really sad. When I first had people unsubscribe from my email list, I felt disappointed. Like, what did I do wrong? Right? Over time, you will grow thicker skin. And you must do this if you're going to be a marketer. You need to have thicker skin. You need to be resilient because not everyone is right for you and you're not right for everyone. And that's okay. Be okay with that. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean that you're a bad whatever you are. You're not a bad coach just because somebody disliked your video, right? You're not a bad financial services provider just because someone unsubscribed from your email. That does not make you bad. You need to keep going and be resilient and maybe learn if there's something, if you're seeing something that you can improve on and you can better for yourself, then do that. But do not down yourself and don't allow other people to do that to you either. Be resilient. Be resilient. The more you get knocked down, get back up, try again, and maybe try something else too. That can work as well. You won't know unless you keep going. You won't know how successful you could be. Look, a couple of weeks ago, you all were with me. I didn't know. I was sitting at 997 on my YouTube channel. And I was like, dang, it's been months. And why am I sitting on 997? I can't seem to reach 1,000. Right? I could have either beat myself up and said, you know what, I just give up, I'm done. I could have done that a long time ago. But instead I said, nope, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to teach myself. I'm going to learn. I'm going to hire my own coach. I'm going to learn from others that are doing well. And I'm going to keep going and keep growing, going and growing. So I want to encourage you to adopt the trait of resilience because that's what makes you successful. When you keep going in spite of adversity and in spite of those naysayers and haters, as well as what Michelle just put up here. Yes, in spite of that, keep going. So let me recap. So we talked about traits, a distinguishing quality or characteristic. That's the definition we're going with. And this is one that you can adopt, not necessarily that you're born with, but so not a genetic trait, but a trait that you can take on, right? And you can improve. So, analytics, making sure that you're always measuring and looking for what's going well and looking for what's not going so well and testing and trying new things and changing things up, right? So that you can see. So one of the questions people often ask me, for example, is when's the best time for me to go on camera? Well, I don't know. I know the best time for me. I can give you some starter tips and say, hey, try these times, depending on your audience, your niche, but you will learn if you try different times, right? So, analytical. The second one is communicator or storyteller. So, become a better communicator and a storyteller. Tell stories from your perspective. Talk about what you know. Share your processes. Share case studies. Share things that are relevant in your specific area of expertise, in your niche, so that people can really connect you as a human to themselves and their own stories, right? Tell your story so that they can make that connection. And then resilience was number 3. When you get knocked down, get back up. Every single one of those guests that was in my interview series, every single one of them talked about a roadblock or a time where things just didn't work and what they did to keep going. Stephen, who just popped into the chat, who's on his way to his next big thing, he's always flying all over the place. He didn't start out that way. It was just a few short years ago that he finally decided to turn his podcast into a live stream video. He could have said, I got to hang this hat up. Because remember, if you were watching that video, if you saw his interview, Stephen A. Hart, go look that one up on my playlist on YouTube. If you heard his story, he talked about his dad having 2 strokes and having to move in with him and having to sit directly behind his lighting, his camera, all his stuff that where he was doing his video setup. His dad, his aging dad, was sitting and still does to this day, sits behind all of his equipment and just listens in and watches. He's like his own solo audience while he goes live, right? But he does it anyway, instead of just hanging his hat up and saying, I can't do this. So I want you to think of those times when you felt like you needed to give up on something, whether it's video or something else. Those times when you felt like you wanted to give up, and remind yourself that it's doable. As long as you're breathing and living, it's doable. There are going to be times when you got to make a different decision and a different choice and to say, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. But don't just completely give up. What are you going to do next? Look for your next step and take it. All righty, folks. That is all I had to share tonight. And I think I'm going to go get me some early sleep because I've been up so long. But I definitely appreciated and enjoyed spending time with each and every one of you. Ah, yeah, it was pretty sweet, Jay. But I just love that he shared that story. And so many of the folks that were on shared their stories about things that were going on with them and why they still kept going. And I've shared my own story with all of you too at different points. What I will do, let me share this. I don't even know what early sleep is. No, you don't. That's because you got a baby. Night, night, Eric. Wonderful to see you, sir. Look, the only thing I'm going to leave you with, I will share this. I just shared this with my Stream Bosses Academies folks. I am working on some really amazing and incredible things, and I just can't wait to share more. So probably next week, since that's the first week in October, a couple of things are going to happen. If you're a part of my community, you know that what I try to do is every month at the beginning of the month, share out a calendar for the month. So I will be doing that. We're probably going to be introducing a new book club, not in October, I think in the month of November. So we're going to do a new video book club. So over the coming weeks, if you think of a book that would be helpful in the space of video marketing or just growing our business, feel free to submit ideas to me and let's see if we should create a book club around that. The other thing that I will be doing is I will be communicating more information about Stream Bosses Academy because we had temporarily closed the doors, but I'll be opening that back up again. I am vetting people that are coming in because I really want to be meticulous about how we create this community of video content creators. But if you're already inside my Facebook group, then you're definitely invited. If you want to be invited and you want to learn more, just reach out and DM me. Okay. All right, folks. Well, it has been wonderful to spend a little time with you. Thank you, as always, for showing up in the stream. And yes, winning the war in your mind. That might be a good one. I love the title. Okay, I'll look that up, Michelle. Thank you. Awesome. See, I know my family, my video family always comes through. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful evening and enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. And I will absolutely see you in the next stream. Take care. By the way, if you want to follow, like, and subscribe, the best way to stay connected is to go to streamlikeaboss.tv. That is where I now house all of the social platforms. So a link to any platform that is your favorite space to watch, you'll see it there at streamlikeaboss.tv. All right. Take care and have a good night.